Hi, I'm Arlene Rolph from Your Song Studio.
And I'm Darren Abrahams from Feet First Coaching.
Yeah, well, we're continuing this discussion about auditions. Well, we're both singers. We know the environment very well, and we talk to lots of singers who say the same things as us. The language is all very consistent. The themes are things that we recognise very, very much and that resonate with us. But we thought, what would it be like if we asked the casting directors what the experience is like for them? And so we did, and we discovered quite a few very, very interesting things because we wanted to know, well, be a fly on the wall and see what it's really like for them.
Yeah, and don't we all want to get inside the heads of the panel, those people sitting behind the desks that we are presenting ourselves to? So we asked 5 questions to a variety of different people and we got a very interesting answer. And I think also what's important to say at this point is that we get very self-centered about auditions as singers. You know, we come up to the audition, it's all about us. And we forget the fact that actually the panel are doing a job on that day. You know, they might be sitting for long hours at a time, having to see people over and over again, staying fresh and interested. So if we could think slightly differently about how we present ourselves in the audition, we can make their job much easier.
Yeah, it's a very empathic environment.
Yeah. So our questions. So the first question we ask is, what are auditions for? Now, that was interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, what's the purpose of auditions? Well, we think it's about getting the gig, usually, don't we? We think that's the whole sole purpose of the audition itself, but actually they unpacked that a little for us and said, well, for them, it's really an opportunity to get to know more about you as a person and an artist. And the thing is, if you've got that audition and you're in that space in front of them, the news is that they already like you. They already like you. Yeah. So how many people feel quite often that panels don't like them or somehow there's a kind of slightly defensive atmosphere there?
It's a very common thing. You'll always hear people in auditions saying, oh, they hate me, or even before you enter the room, there's that thing that's in the air, so that they don't like me. So we want you to know that that's not the case. You can enter that space comfortable in the knowledge that if you're there, they want to hear you, they like you.
Yeah, they just want to unfold a little bit more information.
Yeah. So second question.
Second question, what's the biggest challenge that you face in auditions? Well, we can speak chapter and verse about the challenges that we face as artists, but it's quite interesting to ask them. Mm-hmm.
And they were all saying that the biggest challenge is about time. That short space, maybe 10 minutes, sometimes it's not even as long as 10 minutes, but that short space of time to get to know as much as they possibly can about you, whether that's about you as a person, your personality, or what it is you're capable of, or what they might be seeing from you on stage if they employ you. So that experience, and if we come in and we're very muddy about what we're showing them, it makes their job really hard because time is of the essence.
Yeah, exactly. And even the scheduling of a day, I mean, I can imagine that they have to ram quite a few singers into one day because, auditioning is expensive for them as an outlay for them too. Yeah. So trying to give everyone an equal bite of the cherry is a pressure for them. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, totally. So our third question is, what's the most common mistake you see from singers in audition?
It's my favourite question because it's like gold, isn't it? We want to know what we're doing wrong. What are we doing wrong? Yeah.
Well, and interestingly, it's not about the singing. That's not what they're saying to us. The things that we are mostly doing wrong is about second guessing what we think they want. And if you're doing that, then you're really not being yourself and you're not able to show yourself for who you really are. You're thinking all the time, well, what do they want to see? What is it I'm thinking about? But actually, they can see that we're thinking those things, can't they?
And it's such a waste of energy in that space. It really is. Because if you're preoccupied with this kind of assumption that's going on in your mind, then you're definitely not concentrating on the job in hand. Mm-hmm. If you're kind of trying to read their body language or their heads are down or they're writing and making assumptions that are actually quite detrimental to your delivery, then you know, in a way you've only got yourself to blame if it doesn't go the way you want it to.
Totally, yeah. So our fourth question, Arlene.
Our fourth question is, what besides the voice catches your attention? Yeah, what's the X factor?
Yeah, well, they said everything. It's very interesting. They are watching. They're watching how you enter the room. They're watching how you interact with them. They're watching particularly how you interact with your accompanist. Like, how many times have we seen singers turning up with scrappy bits of paper, not marked up, expecting the accompanist to be able to fill in the gaps by mind reading in some way?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting, they really notice, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. And also marking tempo. I mean, if you're not, I mean, your heartbeat's going to be racing, so probably you might speed up your tempo a little bit more, but just how professional are you being? How like clear are you being, and how are you collaborating? Because I guess it's the first window into how you are working with a team.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, what happens in that rehearsal space.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very important.
And then finally?
Well, our final question, very pertinent to our workshop, is how do you know when a singer is being themselves in audition? And it's interesting because they said, well, actually, you don't know when a singer is being themselves. But what you do know is when a singer is not being in the moment. And that thing about being in the moment is it allows you to express what's happening right there and then. Because, of course, that's what you want to see on stage. And it's interesting that various casting directors said to us is that often they can see who you've trained with or which institution you've come from. Very, very interesting. So I think you were saying that it's a bit like branding, that you've branded yourself somehow with your singer or your training, but actually they don't want to see the training, do they?
They want to see your individuality, and it's so funny because this morning I was watching a video, and it was an old video of Sutherland and Bonning talking about bel canto, talking about singing, and Bonning said that actually audiences should not see technique. Panels should not see technique. Technique is for you to be honing in your private time, like building and becoming more and more confident, more fluid with those things. And in the audition space and in the performance space, the kind of silver lining over the top of all of that is your artistry, and is the essence of you, the truth of you, and your self-expression. And that's really what makes it exciting and engaging. So try not to think about how you're placing that top C too much.
And I think actually what we've learned is that they will forgive the odd, what would we say, how would we call it?
Blip.
The odd blip in your singing, if they're seeing an overall performance, so
Absolutely.
they can get an idea of the kind of the overall artistry of what you do. So we all get so hung up about those top C's or that coloratura and those things, and actually those little details don't matter as much as you think they do.
Sure, it's desirable to have a clean performance, ace those top notes, remember every word, be totally in the moment with the text. That's desirable, and that's what we aim for, but that's not always realistic. But as long as you've left the space thinking, I completely gave of myself, I was myself, and presented myself, then you've done a great job.
Absolutely. So we would love to share more about what we've learnt from both the casting director side and of course obviously from our side, and we've put together a fantastic day for you on the 24th of June, Wednesday at the National Opera Studio. We'd love you to join us. Join us how to be yourself in audition, and we will give you all that we know, all the tips and tricks that we've picked up.
Absolutely. Can't wait to see you.
See you then.